So with the test room update from yesterday, where they released that new gauntlet that we covered, and then a couple other spells that they changed, they also did another round of the spell audit. So I want to cover that in this video because there is some interesting changes here, especially to healing spells. I'm on my life, so we can look at those. And the first one is going to be Sanctuary. Sanctuary used to be 3 pips, 50% healing as a bubble, and there was a pet item card that was the same thing, but 60% outgoing healing. That was on the Leaffoot. I love my Leaffoot because it gave this card the 60% Sanctuary, but unfortunately they changed that to match what Sanctuary is as the trainable spell now, so they're both 35. You don't get any bonus from the pet item card, but it is 2 pips instead of 3, so yeah, it's nerfed on the percentage outgoing healing, but you only have to pay 2 pips now, so I guess we'll just get used to that. But yeah, Sanctuary was changed, even though I feel like our healing is so good that I don't even rely on using Sanctuary that much anymore. So it's not really necessary. Even on my Leaffoot, I always just like exit out, never use it. Yeah, Sanctuary is changed to 35 now. They also changed Unicorn. I noticed this Unicorn change right away because our pets have the Maycast Unicorn. And I already noticed that the Maycast Unicorn does way more than it used to when it just randomly triggers. So our pets are going to heal more from this because Unicorn is now 465 instead of 275. So this is a huge buff. This is like a 200 heal buff on Unicorn. Still 3 pips, but now it's way more comparable to what Pigsy is at 550. I used to just say, oh, Pigsy is a direct replacement to Unicorn. Unicorn's bad now. No one's going to use Unicorn to heal. If you have 4 pips, you might as well just use Pigsy if you can get it. Otherwise, you know, Unicorn is just like a worse heal. Now it's a little bit closer. The 1 pip cost from Unicorn to Pigsy isn't that much of a difference. It's less than 100 on the heal. So they're pretty close. But what they changed to kind of, you know, counteract this is they added spell writing to Pigsy. Pigsy can now go up to 625 tier 5. Now, I don't know how you get Pigsy spellments. I have no idea. It doesn't even show the right picture yet right here. It shows Imp. I don't know where these are going to drop from. I don't know how hard they're going to be to get. They might be from a pack. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of effort to get Pigsy upgraded to this. But you can get up to 625. So that's pretty crazy. So just want to show you guys that because that is another upgrade / buff that they did for Pigsy. Rat, same thing. I would love to upgrade both of these spells all the way on my life, but it's just going to be so expensive. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. So yeah, those were updated. They also updated Regenerate. So it does a bigger initial heal, and then the overtime is less because the initial is more. But I think the overall healing is still more on this one. I think it's a buff overall because you're going to get more healing from this spell for 5 pips. So Regenerate also updated. So onto my Storm here. They only changed 1 spell for Storm in this round of the spell audit, and that was Windstorm. Windstorm is now at 25% instead of 20. So it's not quite up to the 30% that all the other traps are, but this does put a trap on every single enemy, so they decided to lower it to 25. And, I mean, it was 20, so that is a 5% increase on that one. For Fire, they changed 2 spells, and honestly, I didn't expect them to change these spells, but they changed Immolate. So you used to take 250, now you take 200, still do 600, so that was changed. The other one they changed was Scald, and Scald now does 525 instead of 495. I never used this spell, and it's probably more of a PvP spell anyway, but it does do more overtime damage. It is 5 pips though, so 525 over 3 rounds to everyone. Alright, on to my Death. So Death actually had quite a few spells that were changed in this round of updates, and the first one is going to be Empower. They decided to just go through with the 250 Moon damage instead of Death damage on Empower, just like the other Death spells that have you take damage. So now you do Moon on yourself. No crit, get 3 pips, just like normal Empower. The other spell they changed for Death was Doom and Gloom because they changed Sanctuary, so it makes sense for them to change Doom, but they kept Doom at a higher percentage than Sanctuary, and that's just because Doom was always a higher percentage than Sanctuary anyway. Doom used to be 65, now it's 50. So it just kind of, is always going to be like 15% more than whatever Sanctuary is. The other one is, where is that? Yeah, Virulent Plague. I was like, where is that spell? Virulent Plague was changed from 3 pips to 2. And that's interesting because that spell always was, expensive to use, but I mean, negative 40 on all enemies, that's really powerful. So now it's even easier to, spam Plague on on your opponents. This is more of a PvP thing, but yeah, that is an interesting change. We'll see what people think of that one. But that was changed, as well as Poison was actually nerfed a little bit. They nerfed this by 5. It was 40, and now it's 35. So not really sure why they decided to nerf it by 5 damage, but they did. And they also nerfed Vampire. I don't know why they nerfed Vampire. Like, I always remembered Vampires being 350, and now it's only 335. So they nerfed that by 15 for whatever reason. So yeah, Vampire does a little less now than it used to. So those are all of the spells that I can show you guys. The other ones I'm just going to have to put on the screen. They changed Shift for Myth, and this spell was 4 pips. I didn't even know this spell was 4 pips, honestly, because I never use it. I don't have a Myth, but it is the push 1 over time to a target, and that used to be 4 pips. Now it's 3, so that is a change. I feel like 4 pips was really expensive to begin with, so they reduced it by 1 down to 3 pips. That's the only Myth change. Ice had a couple changes. One of them is cooldown, which used to be 2 pips, and it removed 1 tick from all teammates, and now it's 1 pip, do the same thing. So that one, it doesn't remove, it's not triage, but it removes 1 tick from everyone for 1 pip. So not as good as triage, and obviously, mass triage is 2 pips, so it's kind of a lesser version of that spell. And they also changed Steel Ward to now be 100% accuracy instead of 80. They did some interesting changes to Balance this time around. So Balance got 3 spells that they changed. One of them we already kind of know, it was Spirit Trap. They upped it to 30, which is what it was supposed to be. They changed Donate Power, which used to be 3 pips, give 2 pips a target, to 1 pip, still give 2 pips a target. And I was thinking about this, and obviously if you want to just give yourself pips, you would use Empower. That makes sense. You could give yourself 2 pips by spending 1 pip. You'd only be up +1. So yeah, Empower would have just been better. But this is worth it if you spend 1 pip and give 2 pips to your hitter on your team. That'd be worth it. So I feel like we might incorporate more strategies where we have a balance that gives the hitter on the end 2 extra pips so that we can use a spell sooner. I feel like that's a good strat, and this makes that strat easier because it only costs 1 pip to do so. So I like this change a lot. I feel like this spell will actually be used a lot more because of this. The last spell they changed for Balance, which I was kind of confused by, but they changed Chimera and they nerfed it. This spell used to be 345 and it hits 3 times the Spirit Schools, and now it's 290 and it hits 3 times with each Spirit School. So this one, I mean, it's 9 pips for this. You are spending 9 pips to do 290 times 3. And I just feel like that's not worth it. Like, you're only doing 290 per every 3 pips. So I just looked up how much Locust Swarm does for Balance, and it does 245 to 305. What's funny is where Chimera is right now, that is kind of the power level of Balance. Every 3 pips, they do, 245 to 305, judging by Locust Swarm, and this one is 290. But I don't know. I don't think it's worth it to use this spell. Like, 9 pips for that. Hitting 3 times usually isn't as powerful as just hitting once. So those are all of the new changes in the current spell audit. I'm the most interested in these healing spells and how they're going to change PvE, because Unicorn being better gives people more options rather than just saying, oh, you have to have Pigsy in order to heal. Now Unicorn is viable again, and the Maycasts on pets are really good because of this. If you have a lot of outgoing, you have a Maycast Unicorn pet, that's really good. So I like it. I think it's a good change, and I don't mind the Sanctuary change because I don't feel like Sanctuary is that useful as it used to be, because people just go for like over 100 outgoing, and you don't really need Sanctuary at that point. So I like the healing buffs. But let me know what you guys think of all this stuff. Check out my test run playlist if you missed anything. Leave a like on your way out, and I'll see you guys next time.